Hello, today I'm going to show you how to implement VWO's FME product. And as an example, I'm going to take VWO's e-commerce demo app. Now, you can see on your screen, I'm showing you a homepage of the app. If I go to the product listing page, I am seeing a list of all the products. There is a name for the product, the price, and a buy button. This is when the user becomes part of the control variation of a testing campaign. Now, if I have a user who is becoming part of the variation, what would it look like for that user? Now, if you see on the screen, you can see that the same product screen now has a deal of the day banner. It has the original price struck off. There's a discounted price showing, and the text of the checkout button has changed from buy to add to basket. This is what a very basic testing campaign would look like using the FME product on a mobile device. As you can see on my screen, I am on the feature management tab. These are the feature flags. This is the feature flag that I have used for the demo. If I click into that, I'm going to take a look at the variables. Now, the variables that are of interest to me are add to cart button text, with a default value of buy, strike off price with a default value false, show deal of the day with a default value false. These are my variables. Also, you can think of them as remote configuration and with their default values. Next are my variations. As you can see here, the variation 1 has the add to cart button text changed to add to basket. The strike off price now becomes true, and show deal of the day also now becomes true. This is how the variation 1, the user who got bucketed into variation 1, saw a different text for add to cart, saw a strike off price, and finally saw the deal of the day banner. So this is the configuration that you need to make on the VWO FME product. Now, I'm going to quickly take you to the code implementation to do this. So there are essentially 2 steps. A, you first configure this on the VWO dashboard, that is what we saw. And B, when you make the changes in your code. Now, because this is on a mobile app platform, Android to be specific, the code you're seeing is on Android. The first step will be to define the user context. As you can see, that is what I'm doing here. Essentially, what I'm doing inside user context, that I've defined as a function here, get user context. What I'm doing right here is I am setting a user ID. User ID is a unique identifier for the user. Just use whatever identifier you are using in your business to identify users. You can use that as a user ID. If that is not available to you, you can use any random string as long as you ensure that you use the same ID for every time the user comes back. This is essential to us because we give you a decision based on the user ID. So that is the critical part. That is what we are setting here in user context. After we have initialized the user context, next we are getting an instance of the VWO SDK. And finally, we are evaluating the flag with the getFlag function. If you see here in this function on getFlag, what we are doing is we are calling the getFlag function of the VWO SDK, passing on the flag name, passing on the user context. And what this does is that it evaluates the flag for this particular user, and it will tell me whether the flag is enabled or disabled for the user. And finally, it will also return the variables that I'm interested in. Remember the variables we configured? See, that is what I'm getting here. The get variable for add to cart button text, the get variable for strike off price. This returns the variables. And what will the variables depend on? The variables will depend on which variation this particular user was bucketed into. That is how easy it is to start your first testing rule behind a feature flag with VWO's FME product.